Peeps, happy Friday and welcome to the Brew. This is this place where we deep dive into the stories of those navigating chronic illness. We talk about the tough stuff, the honest stuff, and what it really takes to find purpose and joy in the day to day. But today, though, we're joined by the creator behind a very special community and Instagram page, a space dedicated to finding hobbies for broken bodies. She's an advocate for blending humor with honesty, proving that even on the hardest days, a creative outlet can be a powerful one. Join us as we explore her story. And with that being said, peeps, pull up a chair and welcome to the Brew. Let's go.
You are now tuned into the Chronic Brew podcast with Mr. Coolio, sharing stories, inspiring others.
She's the mind behind a movement, a community built on the belief that even with a broken body, you can find joy and purpose through creativity. I'm so excited to be sitting down with the founder of Hobbies for Broken Bodies. It's my pleasure to introduce the one and only Michelle Murray. Michelle, how you doing this morning, fam?
I am good. How are you?
I know we had our little laughs behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
peeps, you don't want to know what's been going on behind. We're just cracking jokes, and trust me, it's been crazy. But yeah, Michelle, let's go ahead and kick off the interview. Michelle, we've talked about your incredible work, but for those just discovering you, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and where this all began for you?
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. So I guess this kind of started, I want to say like a year or so ago.
Okay.
Um, I'm just really been struggling for most of my life, with this, and
Mm, yeah.
people don't see it because they see me, running around with my nephews or going on trips. So I really wanted to start this page
Hmm.
to bring awareness. Like that's my biggest thing. But then the hobbies part, like I'm bed bound for the most part.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm bored.
Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
know,
I get that.
you know, like yeah, people don't realize it. I'm not just hanging out in bed, like resting, having fun. Like first off, I'm in pain. Like
Mm,
there's always something wrong. But I'm bored. I want
right.
to work. I want to do this stuff, but everything is so unpredictable. But I need stuff to do. Like I can't
Absolutely.
I can't do a lot of stuff that I used to or that I thought. So I was like, hey, I'm going to talk to people who have similar issues that I do or are in that realm of chronic illness and stuff and see what kind of stuff they do that I
Right.
can do so that I can keep busy, feel productive, but not overdo it for myself.
Wow. Yeah, because
Yeah.
definitely because a lot of times with folks with chronic illness, they feel like, because like for take it for myself, like I was a
Mhm.
full-time classroom teacher. And so when
Mhm.
my doctor told me, bro, you're done with that. I was just like, I built my whole life around that. Like,
Right.
what am I gonna do? It's a quasi retirement life, and
Right.
it's like, all right, well, now that I'm home going to these appointments all the time, what else
Yep.
can I do? And so it's
Yeah,
always good.
exactly.
Yeah, it's good that you thought about like bouncing ideas off of other folks who have chronic illnesses because I feel
Yeah.
like, they might understand, what the journey is with an illness that can be detrimental to our lives, if not
Mhm.
no cure whatsoever. And we need things to kind of fill the mental space because, we know the fight is mostly mental. So
Absolutely.
that's dope. Okay. All right. So now that we know a little bit about you, all right, I want you to walk us through the origin story, kind of like a Star Wars piece. I'm sorry. walk walk us through that origin story though. Tell us a bit about your journey and how you first began to live and manage your chronic illness.
Okay, so buckle up.
All right, hey,
um,
strapping in, man.
so I think so. My mom has had a lot of physical health issues my whole life, and bless her. I just don't know how she's, like growing up now. I don't know how she's done this for her whole life. But
Shout out
anyway,
to your mom, man.
shout out to my mom. She is one strong lady. And so when I was a kid, they wanted to make sure that I was okay. So like I started getting MRIs when I was really young or any type of symptom, I would go to the doctor.
Hmm.
So when I did the MRIs, I was little, probably started like 6 or 7. And
Wow.
back then, which,
Back then.
yeah, it, the MRIs would take 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh,
And for a 7-year old, and you can't move, and then I would have to do
Right.
them a couple times a year. So that was just like the start of it, but that was, like the normal routine thing for me.
Right.
Um, and then I think well, because I was a dancer too. I used to dance, sing, I used to
Wow.
do theater. Yeah, like I was active. I loved doing all this stuff. And then, so I think when I turned 17, it was, oh no, no, no. When I was 14,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
was in chorus in high school and I fainted off the risers for the first time. That was the first time any of this showed up.
Right.
So we were doing a performance and I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to throw up or like something's happening. And yeah, I was on the second step and I just fell right off onto the
Oh
floor.
no.
Yeah, and it was terrifying, and we were even at our school, we were doing like a state testing type of thing. So it was just, and then we still wound up getting the highest score you can.
Right. Right.
So I'm like, okay, you're welcome, guys. Maybe they felt a little. No, we did really well, but
Wow.
so when you're 14 and that happens, that's never happened to me before. I never felt like that. I've never fainted.
Mm.
Um, so that was kind of the start of it. So I had fainted, and then they found out that I had vasovagal syncope, which is something that my mom has as well. So that's
So
kind of
that you think
been,
so that's hereditary, is it?
I think, what the thing is? I think a lot of this is hereditary or genetic, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly like
Right. Okay.
which is, but because we share a lot of similar diagnosis.
Right.
So I know
Right.
some.
I did have a question though. So you
Yeah.
mentioned that you were a dancer, you did theater,
Mhm.
you did all of that stuff, and of course, with when the chronic illness kicked in, I'm pretty sure a lot of that stuff went out the window, so to
Mhm.
speak. Um, how did that? I know there's that grieving process. How
Mhm.
was that like for you?
So I think in high school I didn't think of it like that because it was just that, and then when I was a senior, I wound up fainting again and giving myself a concussion.
Mm.
And then that was my senior year, and then the rest of the year I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk. Like
Oh man.
from all of this, I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. So I had to go to PT to relearn how to walk, and
Right.
my dad would have to carry me up and down the stairs. Like I had to get homeschooled for a while, and this is my senior year. Like this
Senior
was
year.
around. Thank goodness I made it to like prom and stuff.
Yeah.
But when you're 17, 18, and you forget how to walk, it's just kind of like that's when it hit me. I think it didn't so much hit me when the vasovagal syncope thing
Right.
happened the first time because I was like, oh, that's manageable, whatever. And then when I got the concussion and I couldn't walk, then I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
But even then, it was like, well, I'll get over it. I'll do PT. It'll be fine. So that kind of went on. So I didn't really start that grieving process
Mm.
until probably a couple years later because when I had the concussion the first time, my balance went off. So that right away, freshman year, my balance went off. But I wasn't in a space where I thought that this was going to be forever. So
Mm.
I didn't think that everything that I had or worked for, anything would go flying out the window. I was still hopeful at this point.
Right. Right.
So, so it didn't really have that much of an effect on me when I was that young because, I'm 18 years old. I'm probably fine. I'm going to go to college.
Yeah,
I'm going to
I'm
do this.
young. I'm
Yeah,
invincible. I got this, right?
exactly. Nothing bad can happen.
Oh,
I can hit my head twice. It's fine.
wait, hold on. All right. Let's not. Let's not. All right, but okay, so then that brings a follow-up question from me. I guess, when we talk about that grieving piece, because I'll be honest with you, for me, that grieving piece has been super detrimental. I
Mhm.
think I mean, I've only been chronically ill for the past coming up on 2 years now.
Yeah.
And so within that time slot, when you consider everything that I've navigated so far, I
Mhm.
think there was just never enough time for me to sit down and process.
Right.
When it came to you, and I'm trying to see if this is something that we do by default,
Mhm.
where we try to sit down and be positive all the time and try to be, extra super in our mind and stuff like that, and avoid the processing. Did you find yourself like avoiding processing everything that you went through and then trying to be positive, and then it hit you like a ton of bricks and brought you into a space of, and I'm gonna say the D word, depression.
Oh, 100%. Like I said, they kind of came, not all of this stuff came on at once.
Okay.
So I had those things happen at 19. I had, something wrong with my pelvis. They were thought it was endometriosis. I won't get into the whole thing, but they
Hmm.
found out it was pelvic floor dysfunction, which I went through, gosh knows how many testing and all of this stuff. And it's not fun testing when they have to try to find something that's wrong, like in your abdomen and stuff.
Oh
It's
my
not,
gosh.
it's not, it's humbling. Let's just say
Yeah, yeah, very humbling indeed.
very
Yeah.
humbling. So then, like that was the next part. But I still was hopeful because it's manageable. Like I can go get physical therapy for it, whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I want to say it was probably when I was like 24. How old am I? Ugh, I'm 30 now. I
It's
want to
okay.
say
It's all right. We're not gonna age shame here. We're good. It just shows, we have a lot of battle scars. That's it.
yes. So I'm trying to think. So it was probably like around 24, 25. I started feeling worse. Um, Actually, what I think happened, and my doctor agrees with this, I've had all this stuff. It was more hidden as I was getting older. Like, oh, I feel like I'm going to faint once in a while. Oh, my bones hurt. Like, it wasn't a thing. It wasn't like a big slap in the face type
Right.
of, you know, but when I had all of these stuff started piling up. So then I find out about like the fibromyalgia, the Sjogren's disease, like all just keeps listing, keeps listing. And then I got COVID.
Oh,
I got
okay.
COVID and I was out of work for almost 2 months.
Hmm.
So then I think that kind of like set everything off.
Wow.
So I was feeling, like still really fatigued, like, but I could hold a job, like I can do stuff, whatever.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
had a life
Hmm.
and a full time job. And then I got COVID again.
Man. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So then I think that started to push me into that, okay, now you're getting like, now this is starting to change your life a little bit. And then I got
Wow.
COVID the third time.
Man, just no breaks, huh? Just
Nope.
overdrive over here.
Oh yeah. Um, and then I think after that, everything hit me hard.
Hmm.
And not to say that I didn't have any of this stuff before, but it wasn't debilitating.
Right.
It wasn't to the point, like, I was still able to hold a job. I was still able to go out on the weekends. I was still able to do these things. But there's something called long COVID. And
Right.
I asked my doctor, I was like, do you think that this could have made everything worse? Because it was bad, but it was manageable. I could still live my life. And then at that point, what am I supposed to do? I couldn't work full time. I got fired from my job
Oh
because
man.
because I kept missing days and I would tell them what's going on and show them what the doctor said, and they let me go and then they didn't give me unemployment.
Wow.
Yeah. So that set everything as far as working back a lot. Um, because I couldn't work. I was trying to find jobs like from home and I'm still trying to find jobs from home, but most of that stuff is all pyramid schemes and, things like that.
Yeah, and we don't want to
It's
get caught up.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm applying to 50 different jobs and it's like 35 of them are coming back as like pyramid schemes or whatever. Like, so it's really hard.
Oh man.
Yeah, so then, that kind of kicked my butt with money and stuff. But, so it wasn't really a defining moment where I realized, like, well, things are going to be different now. It was more gradual because, you know, I kept getting diagnosed. It wasn't like everything was all at once. So I didn't have this whole list of stuff yet. It was like I passed out sometimes or,
Mhm.
whatever it is. Like it wasn't a big thing until after I got COVID 3 times. And then maybe like a month or so after the third time, it just, everything changed. And my doctor said that could definitely make everything that you have worse and like set it off worse. So then at that point, I couldn't go out on weekends. I had no social life. I was missing, I feel like I might have missed a wedding. I've missed family
Ah,
events, baby
those are
shot, like
yeah,
birthdays, the things that I want to do.
the memorable
And then
moments.
exactly, and I'm the one who's having to call and be like, "Hey, I can't move." So
Yeah. Ah,
yeah,
gosh. Oh, yeah. Because you see now that's like that makes me think about the mental aspect. All we know
hmm
our bodies hurt. We know our bodies. It's the tiredness, it's the fatigue.
right,
The pain, all of the other symptoms. But the biggest one is what's going on in our minds. Because, like you
absolutely.
said, like when you mentioned how like you were able to hold the job in the midst of all of this, and then when
hmm
things got really bad, you not having a job anymore just probably did something on top of everything else, because now
Absolutely.
it's taking away from, I wouldn't say your quality of life, but everything
No,
that
it
helped
does.
to make your life function. Um,
Absolutely.
and I recently came about this. I recently hoped and I recently came to say that I wish that there was more of an insight or look into the
Yeah.
mental aspects of someone struggling with chronic illness, because we might look at all the body and say, well, everything's stable now, the numbers are looking okay, or it's trending right or wrong, but then we also got to take account what's going on in that person's psychological aspect. um,
Exactly.
but that's neither here or there. That's probably another conversation for another day. But let's go to, man, I just want to say kudos to you, for being a chronic illness warrior that you are.
Thank
It
you.
takes a lot, and I hope that by the end of this podcast, a lot of folks listening would get a glimpse on the day, another glimpse of the day to day of someone who's fighting. Let's go to your page now. Okay,
Sure.
your page is called Hobbies for Broken Bodies, like broken car, destroyed.
Yeah, we're just
What's
destroyed car wreck.
Yeah, just walk in the middle of the street, right? Jaywalking, right? But what's one creative hobby that you found that brings joy, to you, and how has it changed since your health began, your health journey began, rather?
So I don't think it's really one thing
Okay,
because, I used to like to color and do like those type of things, but
okay,
when you're so fatigued that a coloring pencil hurts too much, you can't color. It's just,
right.
there's something I can't do. But then I recently found like those water, I forgot what they're called, like the acrylic paint, not the acrylic paint. You can take this part out because I don't know what it's called.
It's all good.
Um, it's some type of specific marker that doesn't hurt my hand to do.
Okay.
So I was able to start coloring again, which, doesn't sound great, but it keeps my mind off of stuff. I started to do embroidery.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, I'm not very good at it, but
It's all good.
it's
Hey, give
something, and
yourself some grace. All right. How about that?
yeah, and it's something that you can pick up when you want. It's not something that you
Right.
have to do for 5 hours straight.
Right.
Um, but I don't know if this counts as like a creative hobby, but I've gotten really, really into comedy lately. That's
Okay.
been a huge help right now.
Okay. Like
Yeah,
like
so
hobbies, as far as like comedy, as far as like listen to comedy, or
yeah,
telling
like just
jokes.
stand. Oh God, no, that would be crazy. Well,
Oh,
not
cause
crazy, but
girl, I was getting ready to just say, give me a good knock knock joke. How about
heck
that?
no, no way.
Okay.
No, just like like listening to podcasts, watching stand up,
Right.
or even like I've been able to go to a couple shows the last couple months.
Nice.
Yeah, so I went to one last night and it was so much fun. And the girl who I saw, actually, she's in a wheelchair because she has a rare disease. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, it was just so cool and so nice to see people doing stuff like that, and
Absolutely.
when I told her like what I had and stuff, yesterday was the first day I really brought out my cane to use
Hmm.
somewhere because I'm always so embarrassed because everybody says you look fine, you don't need a cane, but
Ah, okay. Stop.
yeah.
Stop. Let's.
I go off track a lot.
Yo, hold on. Nah. This is right in the vein of what I've been talking about a lot.
hmm
Um, okay, so that whole "you look fine," or rather, maybe the intention was not that. But my experience with that phrase is like when they say you look good or you look fine, you don't look sick.
Yep.
What does that do to you? Because I want to make sure I'm not losing brain cells when that happens. Because
No, this is a big thing for me. That's another reason why I wanted to start the page. That was
hmm
like my big thing, just awareness because people do say that, or
Mm.
they'll believe you at the beginning, and then the third time that you canceled on them, they're like, okay, she's just lazy. But when people say you look fine, you look like you
Wow.
had a great time at the concert the other night, and it's like, yeah, I looked great because not looked great, like I looked healthy
Right.
because I was smiling for the camera and I was in a good mood. The times from that concert that I wasn't able to stand up. I would have to
Mm.
rearrange myself in my seat because I was always in pain. I always
Right.
had to keep like putting ice to my forehead or like put like kind of laying. There have been times where I have laid on the ground with my feet up
Hmm.
because that will help to get all the blood rushed to my head. I've been sitting
Wow.
like there are times I live in New York. I've gone to Penn Station and I've laid on the ground in Penn Station. And I don't know if you've ever been to Penn Station,
I have not, but it
but
sounds like a lot.
yeah, it's not. Luckily, I mean, they did redo it lately, but I would have done it the old Penn Station anyway. But there are times that I'm like on the ground, like so when people say, "Oh, you look healthy," or they're not seeing there like that. They're not seeing me run to the bathroom to throw up for no reason. They're not seeing any of that. So yeah, I have a
Yeah.
really great picture from one night, but they don't see all of that as it's happening, and then they don't see the recovery time.
Mm. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
and I'm already pretty bed bound. So when I'm doing something, I have to like prepare a few days in advance, make sure I don't do any, like, it's just really stressful. But then I'm afraid to post about them because people will say, you look fine. Like, she looks healthy. She shouldn't be like this or whatnot. And that's something that gets to me more than anything, I think.
I just have to say this as well. A lot of
Hmm.
times I think when people, hit you with the "you look fine, you'll be strong," keep
Hmm.
going. I think in their defense a little bit, they want to be encouraging
Of
and they
course.
choose the words to do that job. And
Of course.
a lot of times when those statements are brought up, and then especially accompanied with the "oh, she's just being lazy," or he's
Hmm.
just making an excuse, or when it's accompanied with those things, that's when it becomes like painful. Like
Right.
we feel judged. We feel like people don't really people think that we're just trying to find something to get a pity party. That's not what it is.
Exactly.
Because we were once that social everything. We were once
Yeah.
that, and then to have that stripped from us, there's a lot of processing that needs to take place. And so sometimes
Yeah.
I tell folks, don't be scared to try to encourage us, but encourage us in action, because that'll
Right.
speak more volumes than oh, you look fine, you'll be all right. Like,
Right.
there's
Absolutely.
that element of empathy and sympathy needs to be applied. Um,
Yeah.
but okay, all right. So you found hobbies, you got, some coloring
Yeah.
action, embroidery. I'm gonna send
And
you
I
a
obviously I wanna sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
no,
but
you're
I
good.
always wanna know more. I love knowing more about like I have those lanyard things from when I was like a kid. We used to do them in elementary school where you do like these box braid things with these lanyards, and I was like, I'm just gonna start doing that too. So it keeps me
Yeah.
busy, if anything. It gives me something to do. I don't need like a huge hobby of like making big blankets. I just need something to do.
Big blankets.
Like, I mean, that would be cool if I could like do some crocheting or something, like, and start
Right.
making stuff like that.
Right.
But it doesn't even have to be a hobby like that. It's just more of what I can do in my power to make me happy or something to do.
Right.
Like, 'cause there's only so much TV you can watch,
Oh, yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, yeah. TV after a while gets kind of
Oh,
dry. I'm not okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
man. Just remind me after this recording that I got to send you a T-shirt and you can embroider that
oh,
someday. Yeah, we got to make that happen.
that would be
All right.
fun.
So let's continue. So from what I hear, especially with the page setup, you're super passionate about advocacy, and I know you wrote a couple articles for the Mighty. And if you
Mhm.
don't know, the Mighty is a platform where folks with chronic illness, they can go on there and write their story so that others can see it and glean information from it to encourage them as well. How did your writing for a major platform like the Mighty feel, and in what ways was that particularly beneficial to your health and advocacy work?
So I think that was kind of the start of all the advocacy stuff because
Hmm.
I think I was probably like 20 or something. I was younger.
Okay.
when I wrote it. It was more towards like the beginning, so it was right when I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
Okay.
So that alone is like this disabling, just like horrible, horrible disease. And but people again, I was in my 20s. I was the girl who used to go out every weekend and have fun, and and then it started slowing down, and then I couldn't really do much. But people, but you look fine. You look
Right.
fine.
Right.
So like those,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the craziest things. So my first article for the Mighty I did was, I forgot, the title was something like behind the Instagram face, that like the parts that you don't see or something.
Mm.
Um, and I really wanted to write that so that friends, family, coworkers, all of them could see it. You
I
know?
just pulled it up. It's called
Yeah.
when I don't look sick in my Instagram photos. Here's what you don't see. Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. Something like
I
that.
got you, fam. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Um, so I think that was like the first time I probably got like not powerful enough, but brave enough to write it so that people understood more
Right.
that of why I was staying home or why I was in a wheelchair. Like, I'm not paralyzed, so it makes me feel like I'm not worthy of it.
Mm.
So I just wanted people to know that. So that was like my first kind of introduction to it. That kind of started it. But then I stopped that for a couple of years because I didn't want to be the person that was always complaining or always trying to prove myself to other people. I just kind of sat in silence and in pain and just dealt with it.
Mm.
Um, so that was a big thing. So after the article for the Mighty, I kind of let off a little bit, and then things have gotten really, really bad. Probably the last year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Right.
That's when it got really bad. And then I want to say maybe a year or something around there ago, I made this page. It started off as a Facebook group, actually,
Okay.
um, because there are so many chronic illness pages on there and so much support.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I was like, hey, like, why don't I make a little group? We can all share what we like to do, share our progress, and all that stuff. And then I was like, why don't I just turn this into an Instagram? Like, let's just try it. Let's just see. I can do something like that, and then maybe I can add in the advocacy there.
Right. Right. Right.
So it started more of like the hobby side of it. And then I went over to more of like the educational side of it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so the Mighty didn't really, it was a starting point, but it
Okay.
was a starting point that I left alone for a while.
Right. It was
You
just
know?
it's the keys to the ignition that started your whole.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Got it. Now, I it's something that you said as far as like, not feeling worthy because you said you're not paralyzed,
Mhm.
but you're prolifically like bedbound at times. Um,
Yeah.
let's talk about that isolation feel.
Oh yeah.
Or the I know you
Like I
probably
got how much
yeah.
time do you have?
Oh man, we good. We cooking with grease. We're cooking
Oh,
with
I
grease
know.
right now. Okay. Now I can speak from my perspective because I think a lot of people don't know that there's pre-dialysis chronic illness and then there's
Mhm.
folks who need dialysis.
Right.
Um, and I think a lot of times, when you're pre-dialysis, you're made to feel like, oh, you're not that bad,
Yep.
or you don't need to go and get dialysis, so you're managing just fine, and just leave
Right.
it at that. A good friend of mine's in the UK. Shout out to Diary of a Kidney Warrior.
Oh,
D. Yeah, she.
Instagram, I'll go follow right
Oh
now.
yeah, please do.
I will.
She's mega dope. One thing
Absolutely.
that she reminded me was if regular Joe Blow had just got diagnosed with my GFR numbers ranging between 24 and 30, right? If
Mhm.
he found out that he was stage 4 kidney disease, um, at that moment, how would he feel? And why should I feel any different being in it for about 2 years now and nothing's changed?
Right.
It's only going downward. Um,
Right.
I think there's this weird spot where comparison kind of steps in and people start to, well, my illness doesn't look like yours, so I must be
Right.
better off, or you're not where I am, and that weird little divisiveness where we don't realize that we're all wearing the same uniform. We're part of the same
Exactly.
quote unquote army, if you will. And
Right.
so when we do this whole, you know, you're not here or you're not where I am. I've been here longer. I've been, like it creates that isolation.
It does.
Have you have you received any isolation or rather sense of rejection from your own chronic illness community in regards to your illness? Like have you felt any like you're better than I am, so you're not where I am kind of deal?
I feel like, well, you know the thing, and I'm not going to talk about it too much because I'll start crying, but my cousin Jeffrey
Mm-hmm.
had cerebral palsy. He passed away last
Mm,
year. So I grew up with him, and his sister is autistic as well.
mm.
And he was like severe, severe, couldn't talk, couldn't walk, had a feeding tube. So
Oh man.
in my head, it was always, well, you're not as bad as Jeffrey, so you're fine. So it's always, but that's been like my outlook at everything. Well, this person has this, so it's nothing. Like you're fine. Somebody else has it worse, so you're fine. Or but from the actual disability like community, I
Hmm.
don't think I've ever really felt that,
Good.
which is why I needed it. Like, which is why I need that community too. Like
Right.
not people trying to have a like competition of who's worse or and not like it ever was with my cousin, but when you grow up with somebody who's in that like severe like place, you don't feel worthy of having something because and it wasn't even like my family made me feel that way, it was my own internal stuff, like
Yeah. Yeah.
look how bad he is. I don't have any right to complain about anything.
Hmm.
So once I kind of started the like community and stuff, it kind of made me see and feel more validated. Like your pain is bad too,
Right.
and that's
Right.
not something I ever thought because I was like, well, I can eat, I can, talk, I can walk, I can move. So it was always like I never felt worthy enough to not
Mm.
feel like well, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I hear that, and I
Yeah.
want you to just receive like my virtual hug. I
Thank
hear
you.
the tears. I hear the heart behind that, and
Yeah.
gosh, it's a lot. I'll say this too. The reason why the mental fight is so hard is because it's us. It's
Mhm.
us doing a lot of the internal, sledgehammering.
Right.
And one thing, a good friend told me was that, you got to give yourself grace.
Right.
Um, I think that's the biggest thing, man. So okay, yes, let's continue. So isolation is real, guys.
Yeah.
It's real. We experience it, and sometimes we can be our own worst enemy at times because of the. And I think it's a part of the grieving of the
Mhm.
life that we used to have as well.
Oh, I say that all
Um,
the time.
oh my gosh, that's
Mhm.
again another concept or talk
Yeah.
for another time. Um,
Oh God, yeah. The grieving of the life that you thought you were gonna have. Whew,
oh yeah. Oh gosh.
that's uh,
Mm,
that's definitely a struggle. I was in there's something called dialectical behavior therapy,
okay.
and one of the modules says like radical acceptance. And since I learned that, that is huge to me
Mm,
because that's the only way that I can get through any of this. Like, well, I don't have a choice right now. This is what I have. I'm doing my best, but this is just reality. It's part of that grieving thing,
yeah.
and that's when I think it hit me. When that hit me, I was like, oh my God, like this is it, but just accept it and then keep going because it's not going to change. So it sucks and it's horrible and it's ruined my life, honestly. I don't have a quality of life anymore. But
Oh.
accepting it was the hardest thing. But because I had those like tools from that therapy,
Mhm.
it really did make a difference for me, you know.
Wow. So
Yeah.
guys, if you are struggling mentally and do have chronic illness, I encourage you to go to therapy. I think that's advice for myself because I've had mad friends within the past, week and a half, tell me,
Hmm.
"Yeah, get some therapy, bro." And I'm like, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, man. We never did that stuff. And now I'm
Right.
real, a good friend of mine told me like we're the first generation that doesn't have to struggle like the others did. We have
Right.
keys and resources, so we can do that. And I got to stop being
Absolutely.
that much stoic, to feel like I can just knuckle through everything. Um,
Right.
Thank you for sharing that piece. I
Yeah,
really do
absolutely.
appreciate that. But let's continue though. So
Yeah.
you're building this chronic illness community, all right? You've
Hmm.
you've built such a strong and supportive community. What has been the most surprising or rewarding part of creating a space where others with chronic illness feel seen and connected?
Oh my gosh, this is actually a huge one for me because it's not what I expected when I started it.
Hmm.
So even you and so many people will comment on my stuff saying like, "Thank you for showing this. I'm gonna show my family because it's like, I make those little cheat sheets that are just a few sentences or bullet points explaining one of any of the diseases and stuff."
Right.
Um, and people will comment like, "Thank you so much," or "Thank you for showing your vulnerability." I think because I was crying in one of the posts, which I've
Mm,
never posted before, but people have to see that side. I was screaming in pain in bed. So, but besides that, I've had, you too, or people have messaged me and said, "I think it's great what you're doing. Thank you." Like, to be thanked for something like that
absolutely.
is the most it's just not what I expected at all. And that's like my motivation too for staying on top of the page and like really trying to branch out with it because I needed it for like a support for myself. I didn't think it was going to be like this. Like, I didn't think it was going to be something that people would thank me. Like, that's just to
Right.
me, that to me is something that I never thought would happen, but it's just the most rewarding thing because even if one person like feels heard or anything like that or they can relate, it's just having somebody reach out to tell you thank you is just incredible, honestly.
Yeah,
It's just
my whole journey of creating the moniker, Mr. Cool Beans,
mhm,
um, I I was never the one to put myself on blast. Keep it a
mhm,
stack. I wanted to go through this in silence, not necessarily
mhm.
not without supports, but like I didn't want to broadcast anything out there because there's some folks I never spoke to or I hadn't spoke to in a while. And for
Right,
them to catch up with me and find out like, yo, wait, he has CKD, like
right,
I never wanted that to be a thing.
right.
But then I was encouraged by an old coworker, and she was just like, man, you're going through so much. A little conversation. She's like, why don't you share your story, man?
Mhm.
I think a lot of people benefit, and see like what you're going through, and kind of like warn them before they get there. And I didn't know
Right.
how to do it, and here comes the Mr. Cool Beans Instagram page because I was on Facebook. I had those
Mhm.
630 friends that I never spoke to on a day-to-day basis.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
you know how that goes, right? And then I
Oh
just
yeah.
I think when I went on Instagram, I was looking for that community. I was looking for a place where folks with chronic illness or CKD specifically,
Mhm.
that I can connect and get some insight. And
Exactly.
I've met with some, it wasn't like a big community, but I've met with a
Mhm.
few folks that I now consider family. Even though they're
Oh
way off in
yeah.
like California, Colorado,
Yeah.
you know who you are. I met up with them and they've been the most supportive and they live so far away and I am
Uh-huh.
forever grateful for that. And I've had the proverbial folks. I've had the folks who come on and say, thank you so much for speaking on this. I appreciate how you're
Yeah.
doing this for the people. Keep going. Some folks who had spouses who had chronic illness that pass, they're now
Mhm.
coming on and seeing what I'm doing and they're like, wow, you're doing such a great job. And you know what I realized, this the thing that I was afraid of has been such a superpower.
Oh
um
yeah.
and when we realize that fulfillment is not just in our jobs that we used to do,
Mhm.
now we're empowering people. And so I think I can agree with you in saying like that is the most rewarding piece, to know that my
Absolutely.
life still has a purpose.
Exactly. Yes, that's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, I can't have a job. I was supposed to be like a therapist, and I
Hmm.
can't do that. So it's like I need like
I need therapy. Like,
I know. I listen. I would be nowhere without it. But it's just like
right.
I don't know. You just feel so. I don't even know how to explain it. Like I didn't really have a purpose for things. Like, well, if I can't work, if I always worked with kids who had special needs. Like that was my specialty with what I always wanted to work with.
Nice.
And I went to college for it. I had my bachelor's. I was supposed to have a career, and
Hmm.
doing that radical acceptance, realizing that that's not going to happen.
Oh,
But yeah, but doing this page, even it just gives me something to like be proud of or be working towards, especially when I get those messages.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that radical acceptance, for me, it,
Mhm.
it it became real when when I found out that there was no cure.
Yep. Yeah.
um, I came to accept the fact that this is going to be my exit ticket.
Mhm.
If a car doesn't, hit me, since we're talking about broken bodies here, car
I
doesn't
know,
come,
right?
catch me off the freeway or something, this will be my exit ticket. And like you said, we set up our lives. I think
Right.
on the last, I think my last couple episodes, I talked about how chronic illness felt as a situational thing. Like if you can
Mhm.
imagine, like you being tied up and you being brought on the ground, and you spent so much time building a house, furnishing it,
Right.
putting everything in place because you had a good idea of what your future was going to be. And then while you're
Yeah.
while you're bound down and you can look up and look at the house, someone comes with gas, and they throw it all over the house, and they put a slow burning fire to it.
Absolutely.
The fire's not burning fast, it's slow burning.
It
And you just
is.
have to
Yeah.
sit there and watch all that you work for, your career, your job,
Mhm.
all the work that you put into school, the friends that you've
Yeah.
invested in, all that just slowly burning away because of something that you couldn't help came upon you.
Right. That's
Um,
a perfect way to put it too.
it's a very depressing way.
It,
I can,
it is, but I feel like I'm
but it's
almost
so
in.
accurate. It's so
It
accurate though,
is. It
and
really is.
I'll be the first one to tell you that you know as much as I try to be positive, I
Mhm.
am not, free from catching the ills of,
Of
going
course.
into those dark places.
Right.
I'm not free from that. I have some great folks. I have my wife, my son. I have some solid brothers who hit me up and send me funny reels on Instagram. But trust and believe that grief comes in waves. You
A
know.
100%.
Oh man. So yes. Yeah. So thank you. I got to say thank you again. And I know I told you this before, but thank you for building that community.
Of
Because when I
course.
stumbled upon it, I was just like, oh, snap, this is what I was looking for all this time. It just took a little while, but we made it. We
Yeah.
made it. And just to see the people that you galvanize together under one umbrella.
Mhm.
I think that's the direction of this podcast too, because I didn't want to necessarily make it only about chronic kidney disease, but
Right.
chronic illness. And you did that on a community level, whereas I'm doing a podcast drawing people in to listen. Here you are, you're pulling people everywhere with every kind of chronic illness just to have us to talk on a day to day.
Yeah.
How you doing? How you feeling right now? Hope you have fun. I hope you're feeling okay. That's
Yeah.
beautiful to me, man. And trust me, I'll say this to you, your life has so much purpose behind it because of what you're doing.
Thank you. You're gonna
Yeah.
make me cry. Thank you. Thank you
Girl,
so
look,
much.
man, if I had tissues, I'll just be,
I know.
snowballing it at you.
I know.
All right,
No, but thank you.
since we're laughing, all right, let's talk about this humor piece. All right, let's
Yes.
talk about you. You're into comedy, and I know you
Yes.
use humor, so well to talk about some of the real tough topics. All right, why
Absolutely.
why is laughter such a key part of your coping mechanism with chronic illness?
Ooh. So my dad is one of my best friends. Growing up with him, he's the
Hmm.
funniest person I've ever met. So I
Shout out
grew
to
up.
pops.
Shout out to my dad.
That's
It's
right.
awesome. Yeah. Oh my God, he's the best. Both of my parents are incredible, honestly.
Nice, mom. You
That's
too.
like, yeah, that's something I got very, very lucky with is I got surrounded by very supportive people. But going back to the point of the comedy,
Hmm.
I grew up laughing every single day with my dad, every
Okay.
single day, and not just like a couple giggles, like full blown cracking up. So I grew
Yeah.
up with that. So I'm 30 now. It's been that 30 years of growing up with somebody every day that can make you laugh. Well, I don't live
Mm.
with him now anyway, but
It's all good,
so
yeah.
and that was something I always wanted in a partner. Like my ex was not funny, and this sounds horrible, but I couldn't stay in that relationship because there were no laughs. Like thank
Mm.
goodness. One of my favorite things about my current partner is he's so funny and just keeps me laughing all day, and I need that. But so when you like grow up laughing and him coming home from work and making you laugh during the day, you just want to be surrounded by laughter.
Yeah.
So I always said that like humor is my favorite thing. I feel like comedy, always love like funny shows. I used to watch a little bit of stand up.
Hmm.
Um, but then, things have gotten really bad. So, like my boyfriend is the funniest guy and he keeps me laughing all the time. But there are days where, like, or moments when I'm home and he's somewhere else or something and I need to like laugh, or even when we love these things together too. He came with me
Right.
last night.
Hmm.
So, but like laughter, dark humor, all of that is so important to me because I grew up like that.
Right.
And I grew up in a household where we just cracked up. And, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, they all make me laugh. And
Right.
it's just something that has always been a consistent positive that it's something I can keep like along with, I guess, if that makes sense. Because
Oh
that's
yeah.
never going to go away. Comedy is not going to go away.
It's the anchor.
Exactly. And that was my whole thing. Even like besides the stand up and all that stuff aside, like I have to use humor in situations because that's the only way to get through it. Like I have very dark humor,
Oh,
like
yeah. Let's keep it
extremely
PG.
like. Oh, don't worry, I will. Don't worry, I would never.
Yeah.
But but just like because sometimes things are honestly like, and I don't like sounding like a Debbie Downer or like I'm complaining all the time, but it sucks.
Absolutely.
Like
I get it. I get it.
it sucks. So, like the fact that I can just open up Instagram and go to something and just laugh.
Yeah.
There's always going to be something out there that can make me laugh.
Yeah.
You know?
Shout out to all the friends who send reels without explanation. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like
yeah.
I got like six bros. I'm pretty sure right now that my inbox is full with reels
Oh
right
yeah.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you never know, man, what a simple gesture just like that can do to somebody's day.
Oh
I
yeah.
know there are times where I'll be so down, I'll be looking out the window, and I live in an area where
Mhm.
it's predominantly retired folks, right? I live in the northern part of Florida where it's retired people, and
Yeah.
we're the youngest couple on the block. So me being home and not in my classroom right now, just looking out the window,
Mhm.
watching my neighbor cut his grass, and I'm just like, you know what? I should cut my grass, but then that's so
Right.
depressing.
I
um,
know.
and
It's so
so
funny how things change like that.
man, in an instant, man.
I
And so
know.
I just try my best to like keep laughter, and like you said, growing up you had your dad with the jokes and stuff like that. For me, my parents, it was music in the house, it was
Yeah.
it was some kind of party. That's why when you came on, you heard the house music going on. You're
Oh
just like,
yeah.
and that's just in my nature. I think a lot of that, I need that because it reminds me of what was, and that it encourages me to keep it going. You know,
Right. It's
so
something that you don't lose when
yeah.
everything else that you have is like slowly slipping away. It's something that's not gonna get taken away.
Absolutely, because it was a part of your formative years and it continues to
Mhm.
form your outlook on life. So, yeah, man, shout outs to humor and all the comedians and
Yeah.
all the folks who dish, I guess, dark humor. Keep us
Yeah,
going.
absolutely. And
You
I
know,
do have to like just say something really quickly because this is
sure.
one of my favorite things. So I had posted on the Hobbies for Broken Bodies thing. Like I had just figured out that I had a brain disorder and I was just like
Mm,
so in a horrible place. So I put on my story like watching my favorites while I just found out whatever.
hmm.
So one of my favorite comedians, I don't know if you know Adam Ray or not. So
I'm
he
gonna YouTube him. Don't worry.
oh my god, he's wait till I tell you this, then you're gonna be like, oh my god.
Okay.
So so I tagged him in that, and then maybe like an hour later, I get a message from him, and I'm like, what the heck?
Wow. Wow.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so the first thing he says, "Are you okay?" And I'm
Mm,
in my head, I'm like, he's asking me if I'm okay, and then he was asking questions like, what do you have? What are the doctors going to do for it? I'm so sorry you're going through this. Um, he's asking questions to me that a lot of family and friends don't even bother to ask.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
heavy. That is heavy right there, man. And at this
That's
point,
why,
you're
yeah.
already passed out at this point, right?
Yeah, and it's just like, I just something like that's all it took. And I got almost emotional,
Yeah,
like saying to him, like, this is what they can or can't do. And then him just saying, I'm sorry, or just asking the questions, like something like that makes a huge, huge, huge difference in somebody's
absolutely,
life. So that was
absolutely.
just, in my head, I'm like, okay, so Adam Ray is asking me more questions about my disease than some of my family and friends are.
He
So it's
knows me.
just,
He knows me now.
oh yeah, and then he sent me a free sweatshirt.
What? Oh
Yeah.
man. Hey,
Yeah.
most deaf. I'm waiting for my album. Talib Kweli. I'm waiting for like a handshake or something and a selfie, bro.
There you go.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I know, right?
Oh man, you know, with that, with what you just said, I think it's safe to say that and to the people who know me, to the people who are
Mhm.
close to me, and the people who are close to Michelle as well. I just want to say this: sometimes, and I'm sure you guys heard me reverb this before. It's sometimes the folks who haven't met us yet. Sometimes they clap the loudest for us,
100%.
and we do see that, and I hope that just that example alone would encourage you guys just to come a little bit closer,
Right.
and ask those questions on how we're doing, etc. um let's go ahead and look outward. All right, let's go ahead and look, to everything. Okay, what is the one thing, I think it's hitting the same vein too, right? What is the one
Mhm.
thing you wish people who don't have a chronic illness understood about your life?
That it's real.
I know. I'm coming. I don't hold punches, man.
I know. I mean, honestly, like we're not asking for much, and that's why I love the Instagram community. Because if I don't like, and I'll write this in our group chat, like, sorry, I can't respond today. I don't have enough spoons. Like, I'm not feeling well enough, and nobody
Right,
gives you anything for it. Yet, if
right.
I don't write my friend back in like a day, it's like a huge thing, because they don't
Mm,
understand. But honestly, the focus of that page has now become more of community and advocacy. That is the biggest thing because, I cancel plans and I know that people are just thinking, all right. And I've had people say to me, it's hard to believe because we see you doing this and you seem fine.
mm.
So, it's just the biggest thing for me is for people to understand, like, or even right now, I sound like I'm in so much energy. I'm laying in bed. I'm in pain, man. Like,
Man, I get
it's
it.
not like it seems like I'm just being lazy on the outside or I'm just complaining all the time, but this is my reality. I am in pain all the
Mm.
time. I have 13 different diagnoses physically
Wow.
alone. Like, and I'm still getting tested. So it's like some people who only have a couple, and this is not the same, like, I have it worse than them type of thing. This is just like an
Absolutely, I got
example,
you. Right,
an
right, right.
example because, I think the big part of it people don't understand either is that I have 13 of this stuff happening. Some
Mm,
people, and they'll say, oh, I know somebody with celiac. Oh, I know somebody with this, and they're fine. Or they have their bad days, but it's not as much. And in my head, I'm like, okay, but they have one or two things. Take 13 different things. Something
mm.
is always going to be flared up. Something is always going to be happening. I don't have good days. I have better days.
Wow, that
Yeah,
was
it's
powerful. Yeah.
yeah, because it's like, yeah, people with celiac have good and bad days, but what do you do when the 12 other things? Because something's always going to happen when you have that many. Something's
Wow.
flaring up.
Yeah.
So, I think that's the big thing too, is that in my perspective, it's like, it seems like a cop out that I just don't feel like going anywhere, and that people that these other people know, they see having a good time and they see having a good life and working and everything. And it's like, I would love that. But
Mm,
when you have this much stuff going on, something is happening, whether it's screaming in pain one day or having a migraine the next day or having double vision the whole day or fainting or throwing up for no reason, which happens all the time. Like,
Yeah.
it's all of these things that just add up together and it's just like this big whole mess. And I'm not saying if somebody has one that like they're not as like it's not as bad as
No,
like that's
no.
not what I'm saying. I'm genuinely just using an example because I was brought
Right.
to, like somebody had said it to me recently and then I realized that just because even if I did only have something, it's still a different experience than somebody else has. So somebody with celiac with one thing might be okay, but then somebody else's experience is different. So
Right.
it's just a lot of like lack of communication I think too.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing, I mean, I just keep reiterating like we just want to be believed. I don't like this. Like I'm not choosing this.
Yeah.
You know, like people think she's like, or if they see me like laying in bed or something, or I go out, it's like, well, she has time to do that. But
Oh, yeah, that's so trivial.
that's,
You can't do that.
yeah. So, which is why, like, with the comedy show last night, like, I almost don't even want to post about it because people are gonna think the same thing. Well, she didn't do this, so she can do that. And it's just, no, I don't have good days. I have better days. I don't know what a good day is. I have not had a pain free, any symptom free type of day in 10 years, maybe. So, you know, it's just really all I want with this page and everything. And I love what you're doing with this podcast. It's just to show people like, hey, I'm not faking it. Like, this is not how I wanted to live. Like, let's be real, you know, I didn't think this was going to be my life. I'm not happy about it. I don't love sitting at home watching TV. It's boring
Right.
and I'm in pain. Like, I wanted a career. I had that. I wanted to, you
Yeah.
know, one day have kids. I wanted to do whatever, but it's like, I am not enjoying this. People have to understand. I'm not just laying here doing nothing. I'm in pain. I'm throwing up. I'm passing
Mm.
out. I can barely walk. I have to borrow a cane from my grandfather. Like it's just,
Wow.
you know, and it's like all of this stuff. It's just all harder too because nobody gets it. Nobody believes it. You know, my boyfriend
Yeah.
is here, so he sees it
He
firsthand.
sees it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So like I'll be cleaning. This is like just another pain in the booty things. Like I
She
can't
said
curse on
booty,
here, so
y'all. She said booty.
I'm doing what I can. um, so you know, like I want to clean the house more than anything. I want to have a job. I want to contribute. I don't want to be poor, but like sometimes I'll go start cleaning, and I'm not even kidding. I will run to the bathroom and throw up
Mm.
because just from like being up and down a couple times, it's either that or I'm gonna faint. It's doing anything. I mean, it's not just like I don't feel like cleaning. I'm just gonna sit around not do anything. It's like no, when I try, I
Yeah.
do try, but
It has
then
side
my body
effects.
goes yeah, but then my body goes against me, and then you know, and I just I want more than anything to work. I want to provide for me and my family. I want to be a better partner and do all of this, but people don't get it's not I'm not doing it because I don't want to. Because I'm one of those people who, if I could, I would be so happy to work. Like, so it's just, people complain about work too, and it's just,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
they
Trust me.
think that like,
I was there.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
and I'm
there.
like, at least you can have a job.
Teaching
Like,
wasn't the greatest,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I hear you. Three things that you said that I just want to piggyback off of.
yeah,
You talked about like not wanting to post when you're having a good time.
right,
I just encourage you to own those moments because those are the moments you get to have far and few in between.
right,
Um, like for me, I know, I know for me, whenever I'm posting like a story, if I have an inspiring thought and I just wanted to put it on Instagram, and
hmm
it just so happens that I'm biking in the middle of a busy freeway. People are
yeah,
like, "Oh, look at him, he's biking, he's good now." No, I have to
right,
do this because if I don't do this with my kidney function being low, then here goes
hmm
my heart, here goes my bones, here comes everything
right.
else. So I'm
You
trying
don't have
to
a
avoid.
choice.
I have to avoid certain things, right? And water weight is no joke. Okay. Number two, I think you mentioned the whole, folks, who have more than one, or if you just have one, not saying that you don't have problems. I hear that, but understand that in addition to, I know you have multiple, but even if you just had one chronic
Right.
illness, you got to understand that also comes with the fight in your mind. That combo
Absolutely.
by itself is insane. I can't even imagine 12 more added on
Right.
to that. So I think
Yeah.
that's something that folks have to understand, even if they do have one chronic illness. It's not a
Oh
comparison
yeah.
thing, you
Absolutely
know.
not.
So big ups to you again. Big ups to you on that one,
Thank
because that mental fight is nasty. Um,
Yeah.
and then there's the element of, I would love to work. I would, if I could, I would. I'm not just doing this
Right.
just because, you know from a male's perspective, or from a
Yeah.
man's perspective rather, I'd say that the toughest part for me, you know being here, and just not in my element as far as career wise, is the
Mhm.
fact that I still have this thing in me that's like, I got to be the man of the house, and I got to bring in the
Right.
bacon, the bread, the everything, the
Right.
gasoline, the everything, right? I got
Everything.
to do
Yeah.
that. And so when this whole chronic illness made me sit in a chair for a while
Mhm.
now, it did something to my, I guess people would say, my ego, or it did something to my self-esteem rather.
Absolutely.
And that's true, because the I knew the levels, or rather I knew the what's the word that I'm looking for.
Don't
I
ask me. I've got
Yeah,
Chiari
no, you see
Malformation.
that
I can
brain
barely think
fog,
of my.
you know, I had an expectation. There we go. I had an
Yeah.
expectation
There you go.
for
You
myself
got it.
as a father, as a husband. I had an expectation. And
Right.
the sad thing is I met those expectations. But then here's a chronic
Mhm.
illness that stripped those expectations away from me and made me sit down a
Absolutely.
little bit. So now I'm refining myself. I'm refining purpose. Matter of fact, I'm not refining myself. I'm becoming something else. But then those expectations, I still have them, and there's nothing I
Absolutely.
could do about it. I still want to be that person that my spouse needs, but it's just so hard at this time, because where I want to
Right.
be, I'm not there yet. So I
Exactly.
hear you 1000%. And just keep discovering. That's what I'll say. Keep
Yeah,
discovering.
for sure.
All right. So here's I guess my last little question for you. And we've had such a great. I love this so much because of the conversation.
Me too.
The humor, it's solid. But here's this piece. I know for me, like I said before, when I started my chronic illness journey, and I'm sure the same for you too. Um, we were once newly diagnosed. We
Right.
were the new kids on the block, if you will. We tried to find support. We tried to find people who had the thing to give us advice, etc. Um, and
Absolutely.
it was hard at times because we just didn't know how to connect. Now that we're here, we've arrived at a place where we can.
I
For
know.
someone who is newly diagnosed and feeling isolated, what's one piece of advice you'd give them to help them find joy or purpose again in their journey?
Ooh. Um.
I told you, girl, I'm holding no punches.
Dang.
that's,
Honestly, just
that's right.
like just just trust your gut, I think. Advocating
Mm,
for yourself is always going to be my top thing. Believe what your symptoms are. Don't gaslight yourself into thinking, well, it
mm,
doesn't look that bad. It's fine. It's, things like that. Like, if you're suffering, you're suffering. And I
yeah.
always say, when you go to the doctor, I have a binder of stuff I bring to the doctor because I need to advocate for myself so much. So I have backup, like, I have everything written down, all my symptoms. And it's awkward, but there are times when I've had to tell a doctor, like, no, you don't understand. This is happening. But
Mm,
even in my own life, the advocating is just so important because I don't want to see people like shy away and just ignore their illness because somebody may not see it. Or,
oh.
yeah, like you're not better off or you're not in a place to, like, you are still worthy of being ill. You're still sick. You're still struggling, even if people can't see it.
Mm,
That's the biggest thing for me is just like stay with yourself and just advocate for your, like, you are not, it's not all in your head, basically. Like, you're suffering, you're allowed to be suffering. Just because you can't see it, it doesn't give um Love the Chiari
I got you.
version.
I got you. No, no, I got you. Matter of fact, I was just about to say you just kicked me in the chest because because I'll say this,
Mhm.
with my stage at CKD, mind you,
Yeah.
I have a fistula.
Mhm.
It's ready to go anytime my kidneys decide to take a nosedive, but I'm not there yet. And
Right.
so at times, I think my mind would play this weird little game saying, "Look, you're back to normal now. You're not sick.
Mhm.
You can stand up. You wasn't tired this morning. Everything's great.
Right.
I'll probably go out and I'll probably do some walking, I'll do some biking or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
And then the little reminder that I still have CKD.
Yep.
I'll go and void into the toilet and I'll see all the foam. My back will start hurting, which
Mhm.
reminds me that I have this renal stent going on. And then,
Right.
it's so all those, and then the fatigue will hit me. So all those
Ugh,
reminders would come back. And you know how it feels to like try to trick yourself and you're not sick and then you realize you are sick and then you're disappointed that what you
a
thought,
100%.
like it's really devastating. So, like she
It's
said,
like,
you are worthy. You are worthy. Go ahead.
yeah. It's just a very, like, you feel very defeated. That's
Mm-hmm.
always what I say. Like, and you feel like a burden, or, I feel like a bother to everybody, or, and I think to myself, okay, well, maybe you could get up and go get yourself something to drink instead of asking your boyfriend. And then,
Mm.
but you have to understand, like, you have to just take it easy on yourself. Actually, that's my
Yeah,
answer.
giving
Take it
yourself
easy
grace.
on, absolutely. And, just sit with it and take it in, and just, you have to do what you can to survive, but don't think that you're not worthy of complaining, or you're not worthy of doing anything because it's an invisible illness. Like, I was afraid to go out with my cane yesterday. I was scared
Hmm.
poopless. I'm trying not
Yeah.
to curse.
Hey, look, I got you. I got you. We got you. Trust me. Trust
There you
me.
go. But, and people don't believe the fatigue, which is one of the most frustrating things. It's like, so I just encourage everybody, really, really listen to yourself. If something's not right, go to the doctor.
Hmm.
Just because your bones aren't broken, or you're not, something serious, like, outwardly is happening. If you're not
Right.
feeling right, trust your gut. And when doctors dismiss you, just keep fighting, because
Yeah.
it's never ending. I mean, you have to fight for yourself with certain things, and it's just believe yourself and go easy on yourself, I think, and just, yeah, just go easy on yourself, because that's probably the hardest thing, because I beat myself up about all this stuff all the time. So
Wow.
definitely, yeah.
Powerful. Powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. Michelle, this has been such an inspiring conversation. I just want to, time is everything for us. I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story and for
Sure.
all the incredible work that you're doing with Hobbies for Broken Bodies and beyond.
Thank you.
Yeah, peeps. Like, I'm sorry. This so many points hit, so many elements we went through. You can find Michelle on Instagram at Hobbies for Broken Bodies. Literally, just put at symbol Hobbies for Broken Bodies, and don't forget to follow myself in all my chronic escapades as well. At Mr. Cool Beans 2889 on TikTok and the gram. Um, Also, if you need a community of peeps to encourage you and support you or a loved one on their journey, I encourage you to link Michelle, and she'll get you plugged into the Chronic Comfort Club. All right, Chronic. Trust me, I'll be there too. I'm on that. All right.
I love it.
Yeah. Again, Michelle. Thank you again for being on the show. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much for having me. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, peeps. It's been great. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Mr. Cool Beans, and I'm out.